What if the thing you've been asking for isn't behind the wrong door? It's behind the right lock, and that lock opens to a sound? What if, when you stand before the heavy iron door of your inner sight, all you need is the correct frequency to turn the key? This sound frequency activates your pineal gland, not as a promise that caps your life with instant miracles, but as a practical code that aligns a buried antenna to receive a quieter, truer signal. Today, I will show you how to approach that door with clarity. The diagnosis, the keys, the step-by-step practice, and the words to declare. If you are ready to test the line, type now in the comments. I activate the pineal. There is a story many of you know, a figure standing before a tomb, not pleading in helplessness, but speaking as one who remembers a deeper law. When Jesus faced the sealed place where life seemed to end, one reading of that moment, and I emphasize this is an interpretive, metaphoric reading, shows an operator of reality using command and presence to restore what was always latent. Read that scene as a model, not a passive petitioner, but an agent who recognizes the source within the one to be restored, claims authority, and issues a precise command. That pattern is what we borrow here. I say again, this is a lens, a way some traditions have read the gospel narrative to extract a method for reawakening what has been hidden. The real problem is not that you are broken beyond repair. The real problem is noise. Your inner antenna, the pineal, the third eye, the doorway to subtle perception, has been drowned by static, anxiety, cultural conditioning, obsessive distraction, and what some traditions call archons or the demiurge, understood here as metaphors for systemic interference and internalized limiting programs, act like white noise. They scramble the signal between your monad, the divine spark at your center, and whatever clarity that spark can transmit. Orderly petitions and scattered intention can feel like shouting into a windstorm. You need three things to cut the interference: recognition, authority, command. Recognition is the shift from believing to remembering. It's not a theological argument, it's a felt move. Recognition is the inner nod. I am not only this body, I carry a spark. In practice, recognition will show up as a sensation, a soft, undeniable clarity in the torso, a small unhooking from panic, a deep inhale that feels like someone answering a long-lost call. You do not manufacture this. You tune into what is already there. Authority is the posture you adopt when you realize recognition is true. Authority is not arrogance, it is alignment with your source. When authority fills you, your language changes. You stop asking in ways that beg for permission and start speaking from a place that knows. Authority shows as the shift in vocabulary. I claim, it is done. Let there be. It is the difference between a plea and an operating command. In your body, it will feel like a steadiness through the chest, a drop of heat behind the sternum, or a quiet widening in the throat. Command is the technical act, a short, precise declaration coupled with resonance, a frequency that matches the keyed signature of your instrument. Command is the protocol. It must be concise, present tense, or past complete, in form, it is done, and delivered as a single release, rather than a ritual chant repeated until anxiety returns. Think of command as sending a ping to the lock. The sound and the decree together form the code. The frequency provides the vibrational key. The words provide the authorization. Your intent provides the voltage. Now let's map those three keys onto a sound-based protocol designed to engage the pineal gland. Before we begin, a clear safety note. If you have epilepsy, seizure disorders, or other neurological or auditory sensitivities, consult a medical professional before using tonal practices. Keep the volume moderate. Do not use excessively loud sounds. If a frequency value appears in your audio, it will be marked as inserior_frequency_AQUI. Do not substitute unknown numbers without a qualified source. This practice is intended to invite subtle shift, clarity, and internal alignment, not to substitute for medical or psychological care. We move now into the practice. The sequence is simple: disconnect, descent, resonance, command, release. I will guide you through each element. Later you can repeat the condensed protocol as a routine. Begin with disconnect. Find a comfortable, supported posture, sitting upright with feet grounded, or standing if you prefer. Eyes can be open or gently closed. Whatever helps you settle. Take a steadying breath in and out. The aim here is not to manipulate breath into a pattern of performance, but to disengage attention from the external feeds, your phone, the scrolling mind, the anxieties that replay the same loop. Imagine a remote control in your mind. Press the button that turns down the volume on the external field. You don't force it. You simply intend to divert attention from the noise. Notice how small shifts in gaze, in finger placement, or in the simple act of returning to the body can pull your mind out of the storm. This step takes 30 to 60 seconds. If distraction arises, name it softly, thinking, and come back to the body. Now, descent. Move your awareness downward, as if riding an elevator from the head into the chest and then into the center behind the breastbone. Visualize the monad, the small bright point, not as something distant but as an ember at your center, warm and steady. Do not attempt theatrical visions. Simply sense a gentle brightening, like a lantern turning on. Feel the heartbeat as a metronome for your descent. If words help, place your hands lightly on the sternum and sense the weight of life there. The purpose of descent is to anchor presence so that when resonance comes, the field is not scattered in the crown but settled in the chest. Next, resonance. This is the moment you attune to your signature. Every living system has a vibrational pattern. In the practice, we use a specific tone as the key. The frequency itself will be presented as an audio element in any production. In the script it remains a placeholder. Inseria_frequency_AQUI. You may hear this tone as a sustained hum, a single pure sine, or a sung vowel that feels like it lands behind the eyes. As you listen or produce the tone, allow it to fill the cavity behind your forehead, not with pressure but with acceptance. Imagine the tone as a tuning fork placed near your inner antenna. Let your body soften around it. If you are producing the sound with your voice, choose a comfortable register, one that does not strain and that feels like home for your breath. Hold the resonance for a few cycles of breath, feeling how the internal lantern aligns to the external vibration. A short safety reminder here: do not crank volume to test tolerance. Keep sound at a level where conversation would be possible. If you experience discomfort, dizziness, ringing that persists, or any seizure activity, stop immediately and seek professional advice. Now we come to command, the critical hybrid of sound plus word. With recognition and authority present, that soft inner nod and the steady posture of sovereignty, issue a concise declaration while the tone sustains. The language is simple and forceful. You may use something like, monad, I claim my inner sight. It is done. Or, if you prefer, source, align this instrument to receive. The signal is open. The grammar is important. Use present tense and closure. Once the declaration is sent, do not repeat it in a loop. Release it as a sealed transmission. If you feel compelled to add, keep it short. One more phrase, one final, affirmative closure. Let the sound carry it. If you are comfortable with a brief prayer before the command, address it plainly and from a place of reverence and agency. For example, source, I stand in remembrance of the spark within me. I ask not for permission, but for alignment. Let the code be received. So be it. Then, with the tone, speak your command. After the declaration, release. This is as important as the command itself. Do not hover. Do not rummage mentally to see if it worked. Let go fully. Imagine closing a circuit and stepping away from the console. Release into ordinary attention. Move. Drink a sip of water. Walk across the room. The system often needs a quiet interval to register the change without your interference. Rechecking activates doubt circuits, the very archontes we named earlier, and can compress the new pattern. You will likely feel a range of things after this practice. I'll describe 3 common patterns and how to respond to each. The first is collapse. When old structures let go, they often fall hard. You may experience a sudden loosening of beliefs, an emotional release, or a blotting out of previous psychic defenses. This collapse is not destruction without design. It is demolition in service of rebuilding. If collapse arrives, steward it kindly. Allow tears, journal what emerges, and do not make immediate decisions in that window. This is a clearing, not an instruction to reinvent everything in one breath. The second pattern is echo. After a clean alignment, reality often supplies confirmatory microsigns, repeating numbers, sudden new phrases appearing in conversation, doors opening that previously seemed sealed. These are not guarantees or proof. They are feedback, a kind of pulse that says the antenna is receiving. Note them, but do not inflate them into destiny. Keep a soft journal of small confirmations to anchor the new pattern. The third pattern is neutrality. A calm, interior clarity that is unexcited and steady is a prime indicator. You might feel unimpressed by drama, simply at ease with things as they are, and no longer pulled into frantic rescue. Neutrality is an advanced sign the system shifts from reactive to composed. Celebrate it quietly. There is, however, a frequent interference that arrives as a counterforce, the shutdown of doubt. After the practice, the old system may attempt a return by flooding you with skepticism, with voices arguing that nothing changed or that you imagined it. Do not argue with the doubt. Observing it is sufficient. Name it, doubt is present. Then return to your center. Arguing gives the interference attention, and attention is a kind of energy that keeps it alive. Instead, catalog the doubt as part of the noise and proceed with everyday life while allowing the resonance to integrate. Let me be clear about what this practice does and does not do. This sound-based protocol is a method of alignment. Many traditions associate certain tones with pineal activity. Many practitioners report heightened inner imagery, clarity, and synchronicities. None of this is a medical guarantee. This is subjective, experiential work. If you have a medical condition, consult a professional. Use volume safely. If you are under heavy psychiatric medication, talk with your provider about integrating contemplative practices. For the sake of practical repetition, here is a short, condensed protocol you can use as your daily test line. This is the version you can record or have produced as an audio track, inserting the tone at insular_frequency_AQUI and labeling it clearly. 1. Disconnect. Sit, ground, breathe, divert attention from external noise. 2. Descent. Move awareness to chest. Find the monad at center. 3. Resonance. Play or hum the tone at insular_frequency_AQUI. Feel it behind the eyes. 4. Command. Once, with authority. State a concise decret, for example, monad, I claim my pineal. It is done. 5. Release. Stop checking. Move into normal activity. Repeat this sequence once daily for a week and notice how subtle your experience becomes. If you desire to anchor intention socially, post one short line in the comments today. I activate the pineal. Treat that as your first physical act of command, a small public seal on a private decision. Now, because this is also a practice of voice in prayer, I will offer 2 short declaration samples you can adapt. Use the first when you need a soft alignment. Use the second when you feel called to a firmer, sovereign tone. Soft alignment. Source of all light, I remember the spark that lives within me. Tune my instrument, let the veil thin. I receive what is needed. It is done. Sovereign claim. Monad, I claim the opening of my inner sight. I take my authority over the circuits of forgetting. Receive the code. The signal is on. It is done. Say these aloud once as you sustain the resonance. Do not loop them. State, seal, release. Expect some practical challenges. The first week after a genuine shift is when the system tests you most vigorously. Old habits and relationships may push back as if to preserve the previous equilibrium. If a close person resists or mocks, do not respond in anger. Your power is not proved by winning an argument. If social friction rises, keep your boundary. Less explanation, more consistency. Continue to practice the short protocol and observe whether the friction softens. A note about language. When I speak of archons, demiurge, or monad. I use those words as metaphors handed down through Gnostic and esoteric streams to name types of interference, not as literal demonology or wholesale condemnation of institutions. These terms describe patterns of conditioning, collective programming, cultural narratives, internalized fear that can obscure perception. If you come from a different spiritual tradition, translate the idea into your own vocabulary. Call it conditioning. Call it noise. Call it the shadow. The working principle is the same. There is interference. You have tools to clear it. Some viewers may want more technical detail about the pineal gland itself, its calcification, melatonin production, and so on. That territory belongs to medical and scientific fields. Here we are operating in subjective domains. Frequency as code, sound as key, and language as authorization. Think of this practice as spiritual technology. Repeatable, simple, and experiential. Track what changes in your interior life and in the weave of synchronicities around you. If you wish to deepen, establish a weekly test. Once per week, perform the condensed protocol and journal 3 markers: 1 emotional shift, 1 synchronicity or external echo, and 1 behavioral change, how you respond to stress differently. Over 4 weeks, you will have 12 data points. Patterns emerge quickly if you pay attention. I want to offer a short prayer now for those who prefer to invoke a name. Speak with your chosen word for the source. If you use Lord or Father or Jesus, be aware that when I referenced biblical scenes earlier, I framed them as interpretive readings. This channel offers methods, not doctrine. If you are comfortable, say with me, Lord, I come in remembrance. Tune the instrument of my sight. Open the channel and seal the work. So be it. Then, perform the condensed protocol. After these practices, be gentle with your expectations. Not everyone will feel fireworks. Some will feel a soft settling. Others will experience striking visions. Both are valid. Some will notice social confirmations. Others will notice only internal neutrality. The measure is consistency, not spectacle. A brief word on responsibility. Once you learn to use this code, use it with care. The ability to shift perception is powerful and must be stewarded. Do not attempt to influence others without consent, and do not present this work as a substitute for professional help. If you are dealing with trauma, serious mental health issues, or addiction, integrate this practice under the guidance of qualified support. If you want to explore deeper audio work, the next step would be to test different timbres and intervals around inserie_frequency_AQUI. While tracking your subjective data, producers and sound technicians often layer harmonics to create a fuller field. Other practitioners prefer the raw purity of a single sine tone. Whatever you choose, always include a safety preface in public audio, moderate volume. Avoid if you have epilepsy, and consult a professional if you have concerns. Before I close, a final image to carry you forward. Picture the pineal, now not as a foreign organ, but as a keyhole on the forehead of your spiritual house. For years you might have tried to undress that lock with force, with pleading, with scattered rituals. Today, you have been offered a code, a specific sonic pattern married to a decisive declaration, anchored by recognition and authority. The door will not always swing wide on your first try, but with consistent practice the latch loosens and the hinge remembers its function. That remembrance is the work of grace and of repeated choice. Test the line this week. Keep the practice short and disciplined. If this message lands, comment, I activate the pineal now, and let that act be the public seed. If you found this helpful and want deeper guided activations and the next frequency file when it is ready, subscribe and hit the bell. I will produce carefully labeled audio with the tone in Serir_frequency_AQUI and clear safety guidance for those who want to follow the sequence precisely. One last short prayer of sealing. Speak it or hold it silently. Monad, align this instrument. The code is received. It is done. Release it. Move into your day. Observe without rushing to interpret. Trust the quiet work of resonance. This sound frequency activates your pineal gland when approached with recognition, authority, and a clean, single command. Use it wisely, safely, and with steady intent.